Today's wins and losses. And today, DJ, I can't wait because I'm going through the what we're going to talk about today. And my friend, let's talk about transparency. Let's talk about data, and most of all, let's talk about really how salespeople can win in 2022.
To the HPLS podcast. Live, relevant, and high performance information, conversations, and education weekly.
All right.
Oh,
You know,
man.
I
It's really
can't.
better.
you know, DJ, it's funny because I think we pull more audibles than anyone ever. It just, so typically we got our wins and losses Friday, and we had all these things that we were going to talk about today, right? And um, in the
Yeah,
conversation today included some of the pretty cool things we've been in our inner circle we've been talking about all week.
yes, sir.
Seeing the shifts, seeing the transitions, all that kind of stuff, right?
Yep.
And I look at that, and then this morning, I'm, in between my education time that I reserve every morning to read and stuff. I signed up for this, I think
Hey,
it was
Ryan,
30 or
watch it
90,
over.
not audibles, more than the, no audibles more than the Cleveland Browns. I get,
Oh,
oh, you're total hit on DJ there. But
it's okay.
so
It's okay.
yeah, so I joined Apple News, right? Because,
Yeah.
um, again, when we talk about my ADD theory, automate, delegate, delete,
Yep.
automate. How do I automate information coming to me based on what I want to hear or what I want to read or what I want to listen to? And Wall Street Journal does this awesome when well, thank you very
There
much.
you go.
Appreciate that,
Thanks,
Jacob.
man.
Yeah. We
Thanks
figured,
for joining us.
daily 30 minutes, kind of a morning jazz for everybody and rock
That's
and
right.
roll.
Let's get
So
it going.
So the idea was, how do I get the information that relates to me? And I'm talking, no offense to our good friends at FreightWaves, but beyond FreightWaves. Because I think everyone now, most people in our industry read FreightWaves, but there's
Absolutely.
always a different perspective out there. And you know me very well. Everyone in our inner circle, like Ryan, everybody knows me very well. Everything I read, I relate it back to sales. And,
Yep.
and everything I read it for one purpose. How can it help me give my clients, so one purpose would be getting ahead, and I don't really know a better way to say that, but the idea and strategy behind it is, and what I really suggest every salesperson watching, listening, I don't care when, if you're live right now, January 7th at
If you watch
9:03
the
a.m., or
replay,
if you're
yep.
replay podcast
Remember
10 years from now.
that it's on YouTube. Click subscribe, by the way, and
Absolutely.
follow.
There you go. Yeah, pull the old YouTube jazz. So it's the for the purpose of, how can this help me be more, do more, and achieve more, sell more? And this article, and the we put in the show notes. It's the Apple News one, on
Check it out.
Entrepreneur. And what I'll do is I'll put it into YouTube, and I'll also put it into Facebook. And then what I will also do is, and I am sorry for this, everyone, but I'll flip over to LinkedIn right away. We should really have LinkedIn pulled up. I'll flip over to LinkedIn, and I'll put it actually in the show notes in LinkedIn as well for everybody to check it out. But so this is the section of Entrepreneur Magazine that I visit, in order to give me everything on supply chain. And I scroll through and I find articles. So I came across this one this morning, where it's supply chain woes, catalyzing catalyzing a new era of retail logistics transparency. Now, it's based on retail logistics, but some of the data inside of it, and our good friend Dean Crook, that we're going to have on the show real soon, like 4 years ago, this man sat down. He sat at the front of the TCA conference event, and the first thing he said, and what like totally tuned me into him, was, "Data is the new oil." And it's, I mean, DJ, the
What?
thoughts that went through my head. Have you ever had that moment where you hear something and like 9,000 thoughts go through your mind in what feels like a split second, and
Oh yeah.
it's like you have this
It's the aha
aha
moment.
moment.
Yes, yes, yes. It's the aha, it's
Yeah.
the aha moment.
Yeah, yeah, and it was like, wow, how can we sell anything if we don't have the data? And data comes from like investigative calls, data comes from transparency, like there's all these things that data relates around, but data as the big overarching 30,000 foot view, we can't do a thing until we have data. Data when we're on a sales call, what is the data you need to collect in order to deliver the right message?
Exactly.
And in today's
Oh,
world, when we look at 77% of the ports, and I don't want to, I mean, I really, well, I don't want to. I mean, I don't know if you do, but I really don't want to get into the whole, yeah, ports are congested. We all know that there's 2 million extra ton TEUs, 20-foot containers
yeah.
hitting the ports that we don't
Yeah.
have, not even capacity for, but the ports, even if they were full staff, they don't have the
They don't
ability
have enough.
to
Yeah,
manage.
yeah.
So
It's just not. They're not designed for that
it's
much, really.
no,
Most
and
of
like
them.
to redesign them is going to take years
Years.
and
Yeah.
billions, right? So for everyone saying it's going to end in Q1, Q2. I think personally, I mean, I'll call it live. They're wrong.
Oh,
I don't see it ending in 2020. I see it ending when either ports get bigger or people stop buying as much shit as they're buying. But is that really going to happen? Like I remember you and I, we were talking with a couple of people in the US. We won't name names. We were talking to a couple of people in the US and talking about the money that was given to companies in the US. And I was actually, those numbers blew me away. I had no idea. Like that data was not on my radar. I've never seen it anywhere. And to hear multiple people talk about the amount of, like, no wonder there's so much growth, right? Like we didn't see that in Canada. We really didn't. And for me, when I'm going through this article, and again, it's in the show notes, and as well as I put the actual thing for you in the actual entrepreneur side of it in. Um, Supply chain starts with visibility. I remember Joe Lynch and I sitting down, gosh, 6 months ago, 7 months ago now, and having a conversation about cost plus. And again, I'll step out and say it. I think cost plus in the 2022 environment is the exact thing every single manufacturer, every single person that ships needs. And some
it,
people might not agree with me, and that's fine.
I agree. It
I,
has to
I
happen though. It's the only way to I think in the end it's the only way to even this craziness out. It's all over the place. But we
mhm.
have good morning, Gary. Gary, I seen Gary. Good morning. I
Oh
love the
yeah, there we go,
logistics, dude.
Gary.
Too. Thanks, Gary.
Oh, here, and then Jacob says there's a
Yeah,
tool for Google. If you have Google email, you can set up Google alerts, and what does it find? Relevant articles, news, customers, or industries using keywords. Absolutely.
yeah,
And then for some reason, it doesn't always have um, finish off the thing, but supply chain, etc.
yeah.
You Google and find relevant leads and news to send to you every day, week, or whatever frequency you want. Absolutely. I actually have Google alerts on for my name. So anytime somebody posts my name or anything like that, and or my company, I have Google alerts on for that. Google's a great tool for that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Great tool for that. I
It's
mean,
the AI, which speaking of, man, yesterday that was a win. Yesterday, all the AI
oh
talk going around. Oh my goodness.
oh yeah. Well, you know what? AI Tyler, man, welcome, brother.
Tyler,
We
what's
Tyler and
up?
I were going back and forth the other day. Gary, good morning. Yeah. I mean, listen, AI is again. I mean, listen, if you can turn lead generation on autopilot. And
Come on.
you like how I did that, right? Because that's kind of a hook into. We've got a program coming out at the end of the month that's going to turn lead generation into autopilot, and that was a pretty good hook. I didn't even think of that before. But anyways, that's either here or there. So let's dive into this
Yeah,
quick here
yeah.
because I know we only got 30 minutes.
Wins,
We've already
wins
taken up
losses. You want
9 minutes.
to go over your wins and losses?
I apologize, DJ.
Is that
There's
the X Files? Is that the X Files? It sounds kind of like
it's
the X
it's
Files a little
it's
bit.
X Files was a friggin' awesome show when we were
You
kids. I
know
mean,
what I'm talking? Yeah.
have you watched it? Like, so I put on an episode, I don't know, 2 months ago, and I was like, oh my god, this is so corny. But when I was younger watching X Files, I was like,
Yeah,
this is the cat's ass,
so
man. This is
scary.
awesome.
That was the
Yeah,
show at late at
Sully.
night. If you accidentally left the TV on, and all of a sudden you start hearing that, you're scared to
Yeah,
death.
it's amazing that you said that because now that you said it, it's ringing in my head, the X
All
Files.
right.
But
Oh man.
so wins and losses, DJ, wins and losses. Go because I've been
Yeah, yeah.
consuming
So
the conversation here. So go.
no, no. So obviously the big win for me was, man, all the context with all the potential coming guests. Having Hans on yesterday, that was the information, the technology, and just everything that's out there for what I think we're going to start seeing here in 2022, and then really just it's kind of a following win that's just carried me, and I've seen it this morning again. Shout out to Sarah for her sweet card to you. That was amazing. But the thing with that was collaboration, and she talked about collaboration, and then the story was collaboration, and that's the win. It's these meetings we're having, the people in the industry, and I think we got something going on pretty big. So
I think there's as they say, there's a tidal wave on the horizon, and it's a good tidal wave, not a bad one. It's going to carry people
yeah,
to where they want to go. I look at the wins and losses for the week, and I say to myself, if you're not paying attention or you don't as an individual consciously look for the wins and losses, you're never going to find them.
yeah,
And that to me was probably the most apparent this week. Came out this week, first week of the year. I look at it, I say we got 52 weeks in the year, right? So right now, I feel out of 52 weeks, if we just, call it 50, because people take 2 weeks vacation, right? So you double that, there's 100, right? So realistically, we should be like 7% towards our goal by the end of this week, right? Just if,
should be.
if you
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
if you do the math, right? And so I look at it, and Monday was a complete fucking gong show, just a disaster. But if I hadn't made the switch, and for all of you watching and listening, go back to Tuesday's show. We talk about it. We won't get into it now because
yeah, yeah.
realist, we don't have
Aaron,
time.
Aaron,
Um, but
Aaron shared something
it's
good too.
what's that?
Oh, I was
Oh,
just giving you
Aaron.
that. Yeah, yeah.
Aaron,
Shared
yeah,
something.
RFPs and GRI time. Shippers can win by changing the way they purchase and negotiate freight. 100%.
Absolutely.
Personally, I think RFPs need to get the fuck out of here. I personally think like if you look at RFPs in the style sorry, let me rephrase. The style and manner which RFPs are being produced need to stop. Because
Yeah,
if you look at it and if you really be honest with ourselves and say how many RFPs have we gone into and how many have we won and why have we won? Unless we've done business with the company, the majority of the time it's because of price. But
lowest price.
that
Yeah,
needs to stop because if we look at if we yeah, exactly, Tyler,
Tyler.
buy
Yep.
RFPs. Bye bye. Jeffrey, welcome, brother.
What's up, Jeff?
It's like I look at it like this and I say like RFPs. I get it from a shipper perspective, right? You have like 500 loads a week. Like
Yeah,
you need
that's a
it. You need a $700,000 budget just to pay people to manage that shit, unless you do an RFP. But the process and just it's so convoluted and so fucked up, and it's based on
the
keeping our
way I
incumbents
see
honest.
RFPs. The way I see RFPs is like taking a dead animal, we'll just say, putting it in a pool of piranhas, and let's just see what little pieces everybody gets. That's in the end, that's
That's a
kind of what it is.
great. I mean, it's morbid, but it's a great
It's morbid,
analogy.
but yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, that was probably
but you get the
maybe I
picture
just
because
totally
all
killed
you
the
see is the
RFPs right
movie.
now. I just killed it off. Let's get
I
no.
mean, I mean, all right. Good thing it's Friday, but um, but it's that you're absolutely right. What little piece can you take, right? Like when I put out
There's no
the
relationship to
RFP
it. Is what I'm
formula,
saying. Though. I mean, in the
but
end,
but here's the thing, DJ. You call a company and they say, "Well, we have an RFP coming out." You don't have a relationship, and how do they know? And this is the thing: is unless they sit down and say to every single participant, which they never do. Personally, I've never been involved in one. Okay, tell me what your Bennett, like, give me this
Yeah.
pitch. It's all done by computers. Not only that, I
Yeah.
don't know if you're aware, RFPs cost companies hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like when
Yeah.
you look at like the Blue Jays of the world and all these companies that do RFPs, like it's like Greg, one of our customers that is on regularly, was on the thing. When he
Yeah.
went into an RFP with Blue Jay, it was like 85,000 US just for them to do it. So you think of that. Like you can hire a logistics professional for 60, 70, 80 grand and they'll do all of that. And you have them for a year to manage it and maintain it. Like this is just a system.
Yeah.
It's so for me, I think RFPs are absolutely right. You know, incumbents win 98% of the time. New bidders drive price down. That's all it is. That's
That's
all it
all it's
is.
doing.
You know,
Yes, that's all it's doing in the end.
on
Yes.
their way out.
Whoever
Yeah,
said
too much
that?
volatility in the market, sustained rates over a
Aaron.
period of time. You must revisit each account monthly and reevaluate. Absolutely. You know, I mean, this should be just a conversation in its own. Can't do it.
Yeah.
Truckers will go to load boards at this point. They get paid double. Giant 3PLs are dying to bid it, find sucker that take the load. Yeah, recovery options. Okay, it's you know, I mean, it's funny how this conversation just
Oh
totally
man,
went.
we just fueled
This
something here.
conversation just totally went a different way. But and you know what, Jacob, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
And this is the point I was getting at: is RFPs don't account
In
for any
the
of
end,
that.
that's
Now,
yeah.
here's the flip side: transparency. You know, one of our conversations yesterday, we were talking about technology,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So if you look at it and you look at the way, and let's just take vehicles, perfect example, vehicles, right?
Yeah.
So what, 6, 7 years ago, I guess, you know, you had a vehicle with like a backup camera and you were like, holy shit, backup camera. And then, you know, oh my God, it's got nav, and nav was like a $1,500 add-on.
Yeah.
And oh
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
God, it does this and this. Now we take this and we plug it into the car. That's all you need. You
So
need nothing but this.
you can
And
use that to stream movies right to your TVs. You can use that to do anything.
no,
I
no,
mean,
but what I'm no, 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 but I'm not even going there, DJ. That's a whole
yeah.
other
Yeah.
world. What I'm saying
Yeah.
is, what used to cost $2,000,
Oh
twenty
yeah.
five
Yeah.
hundred
Yeah.
dollars,
Yeah.
5 grand
Yeah.
is now right here.
Oh shoot.
And
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and, and this is what I'm talking about is there's a fundamental shifts in every market, right?
Yeah.
Every market. I mean, you look at the new line of EVs coming out, and I'm an electric vehicle nut. So all I do is watch stuff on
Yeah.
electric vehicles.
Bless you.
Sorry.
Bless you.
And you look at like the new F-150 Lightning. Okay.
Mhm.
So what is that doing? And let's look at this fundamentally. So it is not an improvement offer on the F-150. And this is, if I can get anything across to every sales rep right now, you have improvement offers and you have new opportunities. So if you're making sales calls and you're saying, I could do it at a better price, that's an improvement offer. Improvement offers are very hard to sell long term.
Mhm.
New opportunities are awesome. So I'll share with you the new opportunity that I see as the F-150. Okay. I've got mine in to be, I've ordered one like right away. As soon as it was available, I ordered it for a couple of reasons. One, I love Ford's tech. Say what you want about Ford. I love their tech. Two, it's a built-in generator. So where I live, our power goes out quite often.
Mhm.
The new opportunity in the F-150 for me is twofold. One, I can plug my welder in to the back of the truck and actually use a 240 welder. I love welding. I build stuff all the time. I mean, probably a lot of you probably don't know that. Um, Two, your power goes out. It reverse polarities the power from the truck, and you can power your house for 3 days. So I don't need to go buy a Generac because I was going to,
No
where it's
shit. I did not
right,
know that
like so.
actually.
Yeah, so you think of the
That's
new
amazing.
opportunity, right? That's
Yeah.
freaking cool, man. It's got
Yeah.
12 different outlets. You can literally power an entire job site for 3 days. So you think of it from a contractor's perspective and all that, right? Like
Yeah.
now you
Oh yeah.
can go into
That's value. That's value.
well, 100%. Like, say you have property, right? You got, I don't know, 5 acres, 6 acres, and you want to go build a bunkie at the other end of the property. You just drive your truck there, and you can power your entire job site for 5 days, for 3 days. You can power your entire house for 3 days. Now, I don't know about you, but in Ontario, a couple of years back, we had an ice storm, and that ice storm, like we were panicking, generators and extension cords running everywhere. And you think of that hazard. After that, so many people bought generators, right? But you're like 5 grand, 10 grand for the generator. You're like 3, 4 grand to hook it up just with gas. Then you're like another
Very
grand to hook it up with
expensive.
electrical. So,
Yeah.
you're 15 G's in the hole. Now you have a vehicle that doubles as that.
Yeah.
New opportunity,
An
right?
opportunity.
Cost
Yeah.
plus in our environment, in the logistics environment, you go out right now to shippers, say, here's the deal. Transparency is king. You need to understand the supply chain. You understand the cost in supply chain. Do you know from the beginning of November till the end of December, I contacted over 100 companies, spoke to the CEOs, shipping manager, because I said, what is 2022? What does it look like for you? Do you know that 95% of the CEOs I spoke to said they are going to be directly involved in logistics because
Mm.
companies have lost
Wow.
billions because of their logistics not keeping up to what the market is demanding. And I know we're um,
We
Aaron
got some
LaValle.
good
Yeah,
ones.
there we go. Just nailed it.
Yeah,
But
we did.
it's by the way, Dan, just being totally transparent. You keep being transparent, Jeff. That's okay. It's all good, brother. Don't worry about it.
Oh, here we
But
go.
it's like, you know, the people that come out with the new opportunities are
Yeah,
the ones that are going to win. Because you think of it
absolutely.
like this. You're the first one to market with cost plus. And cost plus was typically a dedicated carrier costing
Mm.
model, right? So
Yeah.
you have X amount of business, and the carrier says, okay, I'll come in, I'll run that business with 100 trucks, 150 trailers. Here's my cost for the 100 trucks. Here's my cost for 150 trailers. Here's my driver cost. Here's my fuel. Here's my insurance. And they're fully transparent. They say, and on top of that, we're going to add 12%. That's our kind of management fee, if you will, or 15% or whatever.
Yep.
If you're the first to market, you're now in a blue ocean. And that's the difference, right?
Yeah.
What you were talking about, where you're talking about RFPs, that's a red ocean because
Yeah.
those piranhas
It's
attack that fish, and
swamped. Uh,
it's blood everywhere. And you're right, and that, I mean, as much as it's like, okay,
you
that's
just made
good.
it even more morbid.
It's so true, brother. It's
But it
so
is,
true.
yeah, it is though. Yeah, I
Absolutely.
didn't want to make it so bad, but it is. It is. I mean,
But the visuals like 1000% accurate because out
it's
in an
harsh.
RFP, right? Like, and here's the thing is, most of the time as sales reps, we have no idea what the purpose of the RFP is, the real purpose. And I'll share with you a perfect example. Okay. About
You know,
20 years into my career, maybe 22, um, I had started to figure a lot out, right? Just through personal, like going after things and personally figuring things out. And I had an opportunity to do a bid with Schneider Electric. And I
mm,
had friends in there, and like a good, colleague became friend in one of the shipping offices. I said, what's the deal here? And he says, like, just go after this. So what I did is I said, I'm going to put my best foot forward. Like, I'm not going to carpet bomb the shit out of this RFP. I'm going to put my best foot forward. And I quoted on like 15 lanes. The 15 lanes I quoted on equated to like 1,400 loads a year.
mm,
Okay. So I go in, I get an email on the Friday, and they say, you're number one on all of the lanes you entered. So what am I thinking going into the weekend? I'm like, yeah, baby.
yeah.
I'm like, I'm in. I'm all over it. I just raised my bar another $1 million GP. And I come in Monday morning and they say, thanks for your participation. We've gone another way. And I went, what the fuck? Like, what the hell? So I called the woman and I said, like, I don't understand this. On Friday, I was number one in my lanes. And she said, well, here's the situation. We want to move to 5 suppliers. And the minimum lanes that you can quote on in order to do that would be 20. I was
Mm,
3 lanes short. I had 15 other lanes I could have quoted on. But because I chose one strategy over another and I didn't understand the overall concept. So I said, well, how much more are you paying? And she says, we're paying 7% more on those 1,400. Like, look, I mean, that's a lot of money, but I didn't understand it. And I think as sales reps, when we talk RFPs,
mm,
we don't understand 90% of it because a lot of the times our customers don't even understand. Like the people that are giving us the RFP, what is the higher brasses mentality? So for
yeah.
me, I sit there and I say, screw the RFP, screw the 80, 100 grand that you're gonna have to put out. use me. I'll give you a cost plus model. If I have to hire 7 people in order to manage your operations department and manage your freight, I'll hire them. It's cost plus.
Mhm.
That's it. As you
Yeah.
scale, we scale. You don't have any of the source deductions. You don't have any of the benefits. There's none of
Yeah.
that. You don't have the employees to maintain, because sometimes, let's face it, employees can be a pain in the fucking ass. Let's
Yeah.
be realistic, right?
It's true.
So,
And they're
but
hard to find right now,
well,
anyway, to
well, that
get
was our
them
call
available.
yesterday. Wait till we bring that to market,
Oh
because that's going
gosh.
to be
Uh,
astronomical. But
that,
you look
yeah.
at that, DJ, and you say, okay, as a if put yourself in a CEO position, put yourself in a position where your cost of freight has gone up 5 times. Like, we talked to Greg has
Oh,
1.6 million square feet of warehouse space he didn't have a year ago.
it's insane.
1.6 million. So for all of you watching and listening, at $1.35 a square foot, what is his cost increase per month? He hasn't increased that cost to his customers per month. Like, these companies are losing hand over fist. Like, logistics has now become, do you remember when you first got in the industry? Like, we were the devil you know or the devil you don't know. It's like,
Yeah.
well, you guys are assholes, but we need to get our product to market, so
Yeah.
we need to use you. Now,
Yeah.
I believe wholeheartedly the companies that are going to win, the companies that we want as customers, are ones that say, we're equal. We have to work together to
Yes.
get our product to market, to maintain market share. Like, if you go back to this article,
We have to be a
Oracle did
team
a
in the end.
survey. Well, but Oracle did a survey, and I don't know if you got to that part of the article. Because brother, listen, full transparency for everybody watching. I laid that on DJ 10 minutes before the show started, so I don't like it was. I was so in tune with it. Oracle did a survey, and they found that customers, 3 times things are late, they won't buy from that brand. 3 times. So you think of what's at stake
Wow.
in supply chain. And then we look at it and we say, as a OTR rep, for example, we're like, yeah, but like, you got 104 ships today off of LA. Like, why is that my fault? It doesn't matter whose fault it is.
Yeah.
It's the
Yeah.
fraction, it's the broken supply chain. But you know what? You're part of it. So it's like,
I was
I
going to
get
say,
it,
yeah. In the
right?
end, in the end, it's everybody who's involved in this. It's a little bit of all of our fault until we can just collaborate. We're going to use that like crazy, but yeah, collaboration's
Yeah,
key. We all
yeah,
have to.
absolutely.
We make this industry go around together. I mean, even though we're separate companies, separate pieces, separate parts, we're the ones who make this thing work, and
Yeah,
it's the
talk to your
working together.
purchasing managers. Who are you struggling? Where are you struggling? Port of what? Find a
Yeah.
port in a state that's slow. Say South Carolina is 2 grand extra to deadhead to raw materials, but they're planned to meet a deadline. So, Tyler brings up a very valid point. So we actually, just about a year ago, geez, it's been that long already. Just last year flew. About a year ago,
Yeah.
Tyler, we actually did something like this for a customer. So we had CVS Pharmacy in the US had a big purchase order for this customer. And they said, here's your deadline. Like, I don't care what's happening in the supply chain. Here's your deadline. It needs to be in our Florida warehouse by this time. So we actually sent 2 out of from my direction to the customer. I said, I know it's money, but this is a $7 million account for you. So spend the money now to not lose the account. I know it will make no sense. You'll make no money on this order, but you'll make money on the 7 mil, right? And so what we did is we sent 1 container to LA and 1 container to Savannah, Georgia. The Savannah, Georgia container took an extra 2.5 weeks to get to port. It got on rail and it arrived in Florida before the deadline. And it arrived 2.5 weeks before the LA container even got off rail or got off the boat, even before it even berthed. So you're absolutely right, Tyler. But
Yes.
again,
But
you see,
yeah, but here's
here's
the
the
thing.
big difference. But hold on, DJ. Here's the
Go ahead.
difference. The shipper trusted me. He trusted my information. He trusted my professionalism. He trusted what I had to say. And I think that's a bigger piece of the puzzle than most people are thinking, right? Because you and I, we're on the same wavelength. Everyone on this show is on the same wavelength. But the
Yeah.
problem is a lot of
Absolutely right.
shippers haven't got there yet. So it's like, you're telling me I just had a year. Like, think about this for a second, right? I just had a year where I spent 5 times more on freight, and you're telling me now to double down and spend twice as much on that one container? That meant that philosophy might not hit with people. Do you know what I mean? Does that make
Oh
sense?
yeah. Oh yeah. No, absolutely, absolutely. And I mean, but to Tyler's point and his idea, they kind of mentioned that in that story as well. But it's the bigs again. The problem is there, there's not just the WalMarts and Targets and all the big companies that we want to think of in the world. There's hundreds and hundreds of thousands of small companies trying to ship stuff too. And in that story, it says, that the uniqueness of what Tyler said of the, but but like you said, the Targets of the world, the Amazons of the world are buying these big boats. They're making their own boats now, their own,
Mhm.
renting their own, and kind of it's kind of like when FEMA. I mean, we've seen that a little bit
Mhm.
when all those hurricanes. FEMA comes in and they're just buying up trucks, they're buying up everything. And it's and so that's what's going on. I mean, the little guys, they don't have the money. They're just
Mhm.
trying to still operate business the way it was on
Mhm.
these big containers waiting to come in,
Mhm.
and yeah, it's
Mhm.
it's not
It's crazy.
it's
So there's
insane.
something to think about today, my friends.
Yeah,
Something to something to talk about, collaboration, something to talk about on. Um,
absolutely.
DJ, I know we've kind of gone over every day this week
Yeah,
on
we're
our
sticking
time.
with it.
So, all right,
We
let's
gotta
stick with
stick
it. What
with
do
it.
you got to close us out on a quote that's going to
I
nail us
got I
all?
got I got a good one. So it's by Firefly is what it says, but they spell it unique, so that's why I said it that way. But it says competition makes us faster, collaboration makes us better.
Love that. Have a great weekend, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for
We'll see.
watching. I
Yeah,
hope we
thank you guys.
delivered
Next.
on the energy, the motivation, and the joy and fun and entertainment today.
Yes, thank you guys.